Hello there. The British Parliament is currently discussing the so-called Precision Breeding Bill. That's new legislation on genetic engineering and new precision breeding methods, such as the so-called Crispr or Cas gene scissors. The bill has already passed the UK House of Commons and is now being debated in the UK House of Lords. It seeks to exempt certain precision breeding techniques from the scope of restrictive GMO regulations, where the resulting plants could have arisen naturally or through conventional breeding methods. In the spring of this year, the British Parliament also approved a so-called statutory instrument, that means a legal instrument that makes it easier to carry out field tests with plants that have been produced using new genetic technologies such as genome editing. We can now carry out field trials with genetically modified plants without having to meet the strict requirements of the GMO Act, explains Professor Mario Cacamo, Managing Director of the Plant Research Institute NIAB at the Swiss-UK Agricultural Exchange organized by the UK Embassy in Bern. To date, NIAB has not been able to test these plants in the field beyond laboratory and greenhouse trials due to the difficulties and expense involved in testing these novel crops in the field. The National Institute of Agricultural Botany, the NIAB, is a crop science research company based in Cambridge. Founded in 1919, the NIAB Group is the fastest growing crop research organization in the UK, having tripled in size in the last decade through a strategic program of investments, mergers, and acquisitions. NIAB conducts extensive research in the application of genetics, physiology, soil science, precision agronomy, and data science to improve yield, efficiency, and resilience of crop production in arable, forage, and horticulture. And not only in politics, but also among the public, a growing acceptance of the new genetic engineering breeding methods can be felt. That at least says Mario Cacamo. We could observe that the new genetic engineering methods were more welcomed in the United Kingdom than in some other industrialized countries. Of course, there will always be skeptics and there will always be more skeptics, but it helps that the two leading parties in Parliament agree in principle and support the new methods, even if they don't yet agree on implementation in all areas. I also believe that the way people perceive new technologies has changed recently, and some of this change may have been amplified by the success of vaccines, for example, against COVID, says Mario Cacamo. Overall, he believes that British society is doing well with genome editing, as there has not been any strong opposition to it. If you look at the progress in this area from a technical point of view, Brexit actually represents an opportunity for research to advance in these new breeding methods, explains the NIAB Managing Director, somewhat cautiously though. With the UK now outside the scope of the EU regulatory framework, adopting a more science-based and proportionate regulatory approach could help unlock the UK's global leadership in plant genetics and foster a research environment conducive to innovation in agriculture. But of course, there could have been other ways without alienating us from the EU, says Mario Cacamo. And yet, Brexit offers a valuable opportunity there, in his point of view. Mario Cacamo is convinced that the somewhat more independent scope for action with regard to new precision breeding will boost investments in British plant innovations. But if that is a good thing, that still remains to be seen. I am for the EU to let more happen in that place, but we will get there someday. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.